So last Monday on the Raw Netflix debut, I really did think that I was maybe the only person who was disappointed with that show. Turns out I wasn't. Apparently, a lot of people were. I really felt alone at first. I saw some people saying, oh, I had fun. That's fine. I'm not trying to take away people's fun. That's not what we do here. I've always said, even in my movie reviews and stuff like that, if you had fun, great. Doesn't mean I had fun. And I did have fun with some of the show, obviously. I had a good time. I hung out with friends, like, IRL. Like, we were having a good time. It's just the show itself left a bad taste in my mouth. And a lot of that has to do with The Rock, who did address it on NXT last night. And apparently there were two versions of this promo, and one of them was released by the CW. And I want to talk about The Rock and WrestleMania and kind of what's been reported and what's going on. So, if you remember last year, the night after WrestleMania, on WrestleMania Saturday, first and foremost, The Rock got a pinfall victory over Cody Rhodes. Then the night after, The Rock told Cody, just because you're done with the Roman Reigns story, our story's just beginning. And then the reports were coming out that it was going to be Rock and Cody at WrestleMania. At first, could be SummerSlam, could be Saudi. No, WrestleMania 41. So for a while, nothing really manifested on that story until last October at Bad Blood in Atlanta when Cody and Roman won their tag match and the show ended with The Rock appearing, counting both, looking at Rock and, Rock comes out, looks at Cody and Roman and like count on his fingers, then does the throat cut sign. So that intimated to the audience that he was going after either Cody, Roman, or both of them at some point. And that's the last time we saw The Rock. Then on the Netflix debut, The Rock opens the show, still with the Final Boss music, still dressed as the Final Boss, presumably continuing the character. And then he comes out and he praises the WWE Netflix deal, which is fine. And then he praises Cody Rhodes and does it in a way where it felt very genuine. And it wasn't just on the opening segment, it was also later on Instagram, which was shown on the WWE TV. And then during the Roman Reigns, right after the Roman Reigns solo match, The Rock comes out and they really do a tease where a lot of people thought The Rock was going to take the flowers, the ulafalo, and take it for himself, right? And sort of start the program against Roman. And they had the camera angles ready and everything, and he just puts it on Roman and proclaims him the tribal chief. Now, based on things that have been discussed, we don't know what the future of the bloodline angle is now. Because with Roman defeating Solo in Tribal Warfare and The Rock coronating Roman, not only has The Rock eliminated, possibly, the Cody Rhodes Roman Reigns matches, feuds from happening, but also the bloodline, where do we go from here? Is Solo going to attack Roman again? I don't know, because that match appeared to be the blow-off. And it's funny because later on in the night, it was discussed that both Seth Rollins versus CM Punk and Rhea Ripley versus Liv Morgan were supposed to be at WrestleMania, but plans were changed and they were put on this show, which I know for a fact that I reported it was going to be Punk and Seth at WrestleMania on here because that was the plan, along with Cody versus Rock and Roman versus Solo. All that stuff got moved up. However, the report that came out yesterday, I think it was yesterday, it might have been 2 days ago, was that the reason The Rock is not doing WrestleMania this year is because there are Moana reshoots. Remember, he's doing the live action Moana, not just voicing the character in the animated ones. He's doing the live action one. And because of that, he won't have enough time to promote the match or prepare for it. So because of that, the WrestleMania match is canceled, and now we have Cody versus John Cena as the plan. Now, again, as promised, I'm going to do a video explaining why this is a bad idea and the one thing they can do to make it work. Because I'm not just going to sit here and be like a lot of these other marks and just start like criticizing without actually having a reason to. I'm not going to play the boo-boo face and be like, oh, this sucks. No, I'm going to tell you exactly what the problem is. And that's going to also tie into this video. I'm going to do a separate video focusing solely on Cena versus Cody. This one, I want to get The Rock stuff out of the way. So on NXT last night, The Rock did the thing sort of like what he did last year with the Cody Crybabies, talking about how the fans were upset that he was being nice to Cody. Which, yes, I think when people watch wrestling, the reason as to why that was so controversial, and the reason as to why having the word shoot and work and face and heel used in promo packages on the show, the reason as to why it bothers people is because everybody now knows wrestling is a work. Unless you're a little kid or there's something wrong with you upstairs, you know this thing is all a show. People have known that now for years. It's not the 70s anymore. However, just because people know that does not mean we want to see that during the middle of the quote-unquote canon in-universe show. I don't want to be reminded that the show's all a scripted show. I don't want to be reminded it's predetermined. I don't want the characters to constantly wink at us outside of a couple of jokes here and there, which I'm okay with, but to actually say like shoot and work, a lot of fans just don't want that from their wrestling. And WWE's been pretty good about it. If you have a behind the scenes featurette, if you have a social media package, if you have a documentary, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with doing it there. But when I'm watching the show, I don't want to see that. So that answers that. The issue with The Rock is that The Rock got involved in the storyline last year and he almost ruined WrestleMania. And then what wound up happening is he created the Final Boss character and actually made WrestleMania better, because it is my opinion, and not just mine, many others, that the Final Boss Rock was the most entertaining version of The Rock that we've seen so far in years, probably since the original Hollywood Rock in 2003. So Final Boss Rock did a hell of a number on Cody, clowning on Cody's mom, clowning on Cody himself, making him bleed, cussing, just totally brought back the edge for that WrestleMania buildup. And there was a lot of interest going into WrestleMania 40. And to be honest, The Rock did that. And in some ways, let's just call it a spade here. Call a spade here. The Rock took shine away from Roman Reigns. He really did. He really did. The Rock became Cody's antagonist more than Roman Reigns did for that buildup. Now, I love The Rock's heel work. And I love that The Rock was building for something later. If The Rock wanted to come out on the Netflix episode and just, come out and be that marketing guy, be the ambassador, the goodwill ambassador, and just say nice things about Netflix executives, which is already weird, but fine, and just thank the fans, I think there's nothing wrong with that. However, once he got involved with naming Cody as well as Roman, and then we actually see him leaving the building, which that was on the Instagram thing, that also kind of left a bad taste in people's mouths, because he's supposed to be the shareholder, the biggest shareholder that, outside of Endeavor themselves, and yet he's leaving the building in the middle of the show. And I know Rock has things to do, but, and I will say, I do commend Rock for going on NXT. Remember, guys, I'm very nuanced on this channel. I'm not like a lot of these emotional fanboys who just let their emotions take over. I can say good things and bad things. And the Rock star power is, it can't be questioned. Even if you want to argue that for the past couple of years, he hasn't been the movie star he once was, I will agree with that. But he's definitely the most recognizable face, active duty. I say like he's in the military, active duty wrestling, I guess, or part-time wrestling. So I get opening the Netflix show with him, but why did he have to kill the Cody and Roman story? Now I've seen people say, well, just be patient and wait. They can always go back to it. And that's true. They could always go back to it. They would have to figure out a way to have this make sense. Now, if at some point in the show, Cody or Roman or even both of them were like, do you trust this guy? And they're like, I'm not sure. In other words, they're not buying the fact that The Rock was nice to him. See, that right there would have been a good way to sow the seeds. I think what they were doing here was The Rock was telling the audience, I'm not going to do WrestleMania this year. And I'm going to make sure that you know I'm not going to do it by not even hinting at anything. I think his whole thing is, if we don't hint that I'm going to have a match with Cody and Roman, people won't want it. That's my guess. However, unfortunately, they already built the matches up. All of last year, well, not all of, but a big chunk of last year was done rebuilding The Rock to prepare him to face Cody and later Roman. The Roman Rock match has been in the works now for a while, years. And there's obviously box office with that. So for The Rock to just come out and just shake Cody's hand, I mean, did Cody not even hesitate? And isn't it weird that your world champion is out in the crowd like a fan? Like, they had a lot of the roster out there, which was weird already, but in the Legends is one thing, but having the active roster out there is something else. In the crowd, you know, I don't know, man, but the world champion, like, that guy, he's the tippy top guy. He's been, as Rock said, carrying the company all year. You would think he would probably not be out there? Make him seem a bit more special? I don't know. But yeah, so The Rock, without having to kill the momentum of the Roman Cody buildup, could have just not said anything and just let things play out. Or he could have just been honest and just told the crowd, like, hey, I got, some unforeseen circumstances came up and I can't wrestle at WrestleMania this year. And he could have even said something like, Cody, don't worry, your time will come, and just been honest. That would have at least continued the angle. It wouldn't have been so weird that The Rock turned babyface off screen. Because that's basically what it came off like to me. He went face off screen. And I've seen so many excuses being thrown out there, man. Like, bro, there's no excusing this. This is like something out of the Vince McMahon era. Like, we don't have to explain shit to the marks. The fans are all stupid. They'll believe anything and they'll eat anything The Rock says, which obviously was proven bullshit last year. It reminded me of when Cody gave up the championship match to The Rock last year. Now we have a match where Cody and The Rock might go one-on-one, maybe even giving Cody his win back, and Rock's like, nah. It just leaves a bad taste in people's mouths. Even if the Moana thing is a legit excuse, which I have no reason to think it's not. I'm not going to call Dwayne Johnson a liar or a politician. I mean, he may be. I mean, he definitely, in that documentary that they put out, he definitely sort of made himself a bit more likable than was actually going on. People tend to do that. And there have been stuff said about the man personally, but I don't know the man personally. The point is that the two big programs that company had with The Rock, which was Cody and Roman, are now gone. And WrestleMania, while Roman versus Punk is interesting, without question that's interesting, I do want to see that. I have no interest in Cody versus Cena, and I'm going to do a separate video explaining what the problem is with that match and why it's a bad idea, because this match could very much backfire on WWE. I know what they're trying to do. I know what the mentality is, but the audience nowadays is a little bit different, and they didn't really understand. And I knew a year ago, and I surprisingly knew that when The Rock took over for Cody and the way that they did it, you know, I knew it was going to get a lot of heat, and it did. And it did. And people turned on The Rock and on the company. This situation, I don't think they're going to turn on the company, but there's the chance that that WrestleMania match could end up having some issues. We'll talk about it in that video, but The Rock now trying to say that there's more to the story or whatever. Look, I'm not going to say that they can't pivot from this and fix it. They probably can, but they're going to have to really think outside the box. And as of right now, excuse me, I am not really interested in WrestleMania. I mean, I'll watch it. I'm not going to stop watching the show. I'm not going to quit watching Raw either. This is not like the Dynamite thing where I gave it a chance and it let me down. Raw was not a good show, but I loved last week's SmackDown. I loved that 3-hour SmackDown. And I'm happy that SmackDown's not going to be 3 hours in July. It'll go back to 2 again. Like, I'm happy about that. But, man, I'm bummed, man, because AEW pisses me off. WWE irritates me. New Japan is trying, but they're so empty without a lot of their core roster. Most of them going to AEW. So, I don't know, man. I might just spend the next few days watching territorial wrestling from the past because I always have fun watching that stuff. So, that's just me talking out loud. Anyways, man. Those are my thoughts on The Rock butchering WrestleMania plans, and there are so many ways they could have done this to not have ruined those matches. Just don't mention Cody and Roman. Don't come out during the Roman thing. Just leave it be for another time. And what are they going to do? Do Roman and or do Cody and Rock next year and then do Roman and Rock the year after? Rock's not getting any younger, man. I don't know. We'll see.